Any updates from you are still very welcome. As always, you can get us on our free phone number. I'll have more for you just after the news.
Charlotte, thank you. 20 to 8. BBC Radio Solent, Steve Harris with you for a Monday morning, the 12th of September. Of course, talking lots today about the what is going on now in the kind of the aftermath of Queen Elizabeth II's death on Thursday and the accession of King Charles III. One of the questions you might have is, how do you talk to young people about what has happened? I said on air on Saturday afternoon that with our 3-year-old, it's all very complicated because you kind of want him to understand this historic moment, which hasn't happened in many of our lifetimes, but equally explaining who a monarch is, explaining what death is. These are all very big things for a 3-year-old to get their head round. I mean, quite a big thing for any young person to get their head around. We can talk to Gary Spracklin now, who is the head teacher at the Prince of Wales School in Dorchester. Gary, you have a new Prince of Wales who is, I guess the person named in your school name as of a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's correct. And at the Prince of Wales School, we joined the nation and the world in mourning the loss of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. She was a true inspiration to all the pupils and staff here at the school, and she will be greatly missed.
What have you done, I don't know, either on Friday or that you're planning to do today, to discuss that death with your young people?
Well, at the Prince of Wales School, we recognise that we can all feel many different emotions at this time, and we all respond differently when somebody dies. And the truth is, there's no right or wrong way to feel. And over the last, on Friday and over the next few days, we'll be inviting children to share how they're feeling. And we're not going to be afraid to show our own emotions as well. I think that's really important, that we recognise that we're all feeling different things at this time, and there's no right way to feel.
Yeah. And, frankly, very few of us knew Queen Elizabeth II. A handful of people in the county may have encountered her, but I heard someone, I think it was on Katie's show on Saturday morning, use the expression "grief touches grief," and this nationally bonding moment of us all acknowledging the death of a 96-year-old might also trigger off some other feelings that we have that we haven't necessarily dealt with, and that can be true for young people in your school as much as it is for anyone.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's true to say that a child may not show the same emotional response as an adult, and that's all right. And it might be that the child doesn't respond straight away or in the way that you expect, and there may be a delayed response as children pick up and mirror the emotions shared by adults around them, and that's okay too.
Have you had any moments in the days? I guess you only really had one school day since the death was announced, haven't you? But of out of the mouths of babes, any sort of curious questions from your young people about, the monarchy and the line of succession and those sorts of things? Yeah,
absolutely, and they're all processing it in different ways, and actually. Our current Year 4 children here and last year's Year 4 met His Royal Highness King Charles III when he opened up the Poundbury Play Park recently. So they've all had a recent encounter. And, of course, they've all got the memories of the Jubilee back in May when we joined together as a community to celebrate 70 years of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's reign. The children have actually been writing thank you notes. I've got one here that I'd love to read to you.
Oh, yeah, please.
To Her Majesty, and this one simply says, "Thank you for looking after our country. I wish you could stay with us. You're the best person in the world. You're the best queen in the world. We are very sad that you have died."
Oh.
And that's from Ellis in Year 3 here.
Oh, 8-year-old Ellis. A final thing, Gary. I mentioned the fact that we all have a new Prince of Wales. I find that to be one of the more mind-bending aspects of this. I was fully aware that Charles was going to be king one day. There was talk about whether he would be King Charles or another name, and he's going to be King Charles, obviously. But for my whole life, he has been the Prince of Wales. And the idea of William and Kate now being the Prince and Princess of Wales, I kind of wasn't prepared for that at all. It's taken me a few days to process. You are named the Prince of Wales School. You have a foundation stone, from when Prince Charles came to the school, 30 almost years ago.
That's right.
Presumably you are going to stay the Prince of Wales School. There's no intention of you becoming the King Charles School, just to confuse me further?
No, we're not going to confuse anyone further, and we're still very much going to remain the Prince of Wales School, and we look forward at some point to welcome the new Prince and Princess of Wales to come and visit the school. They'd be very welcome to come and see the wonderful work that we're doing here.
Nice to talk to you this morning. Gary Spracklin, head teacher of the continuing Prince of Wales School in Dorchester, live with us on BBC Radio Solent. Now, I mentioned this a moment ago talking to Charlotte. You may have seen it, the Mail